Hey there, and welcome to Outsourcing for Lawyers. Leverage your time, earn more money, and grow your practice. This is Module 1, an overview of the benefits of outsourcing. Module 1, the learning objectives. After this module, you'll be able to set your motivation for outsourcing, identify 3 practical ways to outsource that can improve your practice, and formulate your own outsourcing strategy. A little bit about your instructor, Dina Eisenberg. I am an outsourcing virtual search consultant. I started my practice about a year and a half ago. I was working with professionals, CPAs, lawyers, to take the knowledge that they had and transform it into information products, videos, online courses, ebooks, to get their message out into the world and to attract more clients and to affect world domination. I loved my clients, but what I didn't love was the fact that oftentimes they would not complete the plan that we'd laid out for them. When I queried them, I came to understand that outsourcing and learning how to get help online was a sticking point. And that's why I decided to create this course, Outsourcing for Lawyers, so that you can use outsourcing as your secret weapon to grow your practice. I've been outsourcing online since 2010 and have well over 100 successful transactions on platforms like Fiverr and Elance and Odesk, which now are combined to make Upwork, as well as Clarity FM and Guru.com. I am the author of Fiverr, the Essential Buying Guide, which is the first and only missing manual for micro-business owners who want to outsource easier using Fiverr. It teaches you how to navigate the platform and the best strategies for selecting and paying your providers. I'm also an ombudsman and a mediator. My expertise is in conflict management in large organizations and small, and I had the privilege of being the ombudsman for Fleet Bank, where I assisted 60,000 employees with their day-to-day work-life issues and conflicts, as well as Berklee College of Music, where I was there to assist the students and the staff in having a better learning environment. Berklee College of Music is, of course, the preeminent school for contemporary jazz in this country and throughout the world. I've been a business owner since 2004, and I was honored to be named as one of the 40 under 40 business owners by the Boston Business Journal. I am entrepreneurial down to my bone, and I think that combines very nicely with my legal background. I use that to help my clients really make the best decisions when it comes to creative problem solving around the tasks and the projects that you'd like to outsource. I'm thrilled to be able to talk with you about this course so that you can bring some of those same principles and strategies to your legal practice. Of course, if you have any questions about this course or would like to be in touch with about any of my services, I'd love to talk with you. You can reach me at dina@outsourceeasier.com or call me at 415-741-1822. On to the course. Our agenda. Today, this is an overview course about the benefits of outsourcing. So we're going to talk about the 3 lies that keep your practice stuck, 3 very simple ways that outsourcing can grow your practice, and what are the kinds of projects that you want to outsource getting started. Well, let's just say it. Outsourcing is very good for you. Growth happens when you learn to delegate more. Your practice area expands. Your role as a thought leader evolves, and because of both of those things, your client list grows. And you can also find that your income increases as your expenses are reduced. Now let's talk about that in a little bit more detail. Your practice on outsourcing. Do you remember those ads a while ago where they would show an egg and they'd smash it into the frying pan and it would sizzle up, and the announcer would say, "Your brain on drugs"? Well, this is your practice on outsourcing. And instead of having a negative impact like drugs, outsourcing has a very positive impact on you, on your quality of lifestyle, and the growth of your practice. Your practice once you begin outsourcing, becomes more focused and more profitable. Now, how does that happen? Right now, you probably don't have a lot of systems in place in terms of marketing and tracking the results of your marketing in your business. Outsourcing is a way for you to very easily create a system where you're now looking at all the numbers in your business. You're looking at the leads that you take in during the week and where they come from. You're looking at your follow-up system to make sure that you're staying in touch with those leads. It actually takes 7 in-person touches and over 20 online touches to convert a prospect to a client. So you want to make sure that you're reaching your prospective clients in the right place and that all your efforts and investments are really returning good money to you. So you can use outsourcing to create a tracking system, and that would be just having a virtual assistant set up a system for you either in Google Docs or Excel, and then having that assistant track on perhaps a weekly or even a daily basis your numbers. What are your Facebook statistics? What are your Twitter statistics? How many followers are you getting every day? What's your blog traffic like? What are your most popular blog posts about? Because that information is going to lead you to the content that your audience finds most attractive, your clients really want to know about, and that's the content that you want to continue to write on, and in fact increase your frequency in writing in that area and that content. And so you can find that information by putting tracking systems onto your website. You don't have to be the one to do that. There are plenty of technical expertise out there, both from a web design standpoint as well as a virtual assistant standpoint, to get you the help that you need. You can also use client nurturing systems to create lifetime loyalty and steady referrals. Lawyers are used to getting clients simply because we represent a value proposition. You need to do something with the law, you need to have a lawyer. Fortunately, marketing and consumer interests have changed. Those who are consuming legal services now really demand a lot more from you than just having the knowledge to help them with their problems, because they have lots of other alternatives besides your law practice. There are online law practices, there's LegalZoom, there are all kinds of alternatives. So you want to make sure that for your client base, you look like the best choice amongst all the alternatives available, and you can do that by crafting your own client nurture programs. What is a client nurture program? It's any program that helps your clients understand your value to them, helps them identify continuing interests that they have or needs that they have that you can solve for them, keeps you top of mind. This could be some simple as an email program or a newsletter or a quarterly what are we doing letter that you send out to clients that lets them know that you're thinking about them. Maybe you're going to share some of your client successes. Maybe you're going to share some accolades that your firm has enjoyed during the past quarter, but all that information is going to go a long way to increasing the know, like, and trust factor that your clients have with you and to bond them to you, because the old saying is absolutely true. People do business with people they know, like, and trust, and people are not necessarily expecting lawyers to be friendly and warm and approachable, and when you can use a nurture system to do that, it just means that your clients will think of you first and refer you first because they've had a quality experience with you. Your practice can expand and be totally reinvented through simple marketing research. I hope that when you opened your practice, you did some market research to make sure that you were in the right area for your niche practice, and that the surrounding population would be there to support you. If you haven't done that kind of local census data research, I encourage you to do it. And you can do it simply by outsourcing. There are providers on platforms like Upwork, which is formerly Elance and Odesk, that can put together a simple marketing research survey for you and conduct that survey so that you can find out from your clients what they feel about your services. And it's always a good idea to be surveying your clients regularly to make sure that your offerings are aligned with their needs and their goals. Suppose that you want to go ahead and look at a new location. I know clients who have their key office in San Francisco, but they also have a Walnut Creek office. If you wanted to decide whether or not opening a second office was good for your practice, you could certainly use a virtual assistant to do the research and look into the local census data. So you could look at the income and the ages of the folks in your area to make sure that you have enough ready clientele to support your practice. Suppose you want to reinvent your practice entirely. I have a client named Bart, and he was a litigator, and now he's coming towards, I would say, the mid part of his practice. He probably has another 20 years of practice left, and he's decided he wants to shift his focus. He wants to pivot from litigation to having an estate planning practice. And so he's used some simple market research to find out whether or not that's going to work in the local area that he is in. And he's found that, yep, there's enough clientele to support his practice. And now he's using some simple market research to reach out via a virtual assistant and find the top influencers in estate planning within his local area. Why is he doing that? Because he wants to connect with them. He's beginning to build his business referral network and introduce himself to a new market as an estate planner. And so he needs to make those connections into that marketplace. And he's going to find those top influencers by having a virtual assistant do some research for him. And maybe he's going to look at all tops. He's going to have that person look at all tops to see the best legal blogs in that area. He's going to look for Instagram streams to find out what practices are using social media. And every practice, by the way, should be using social media to grow your reach. And then he's going to reach out. And he's also going to use his virtual assistant to set Google alerts and all kinds of prompts so that when these top influencers, say, publish a new article on LinkedIn Pulse, and I hope that you're aware of LinkedIn Pulse as a very valuable media platform where you can talk about your practice to a captive audience that wants to hear. That's LinkedIn Pulse. But yeah, you can have the virtual assistant to actually go through the pulse and identify people who are either directly in your target market or related target market that you'd want to connect with as a colleague or maybe a referral source. And you can do that again by outsourcing through your virtual assistant. Suppose your practice is going well, but you're concerned because you're not winning all the proposals that you go after. You're not closing your client at the rate that you would like to be closing at. You might want to do a little simple market research and do a win-loss analysis. What is that? That's an independent neutral who actually contacts your client base and asks them some basic questions about your service to understand either why you got the work or why you weren't awarded the work. Finding out that kind of data, it would be essential if you want to quickly grow your practice without doing a lot of trial and error. So these are the ways that outsourcing really can help you grow your practice. And mainly it's around putting systems in place that you honestly don't have time for. Your focus should be, of course, on client service and developing relationships. These marketing tasks in terms of the market research and reaching out to clients to understand how you're perceived in the market is definitely something that you could outsource. And you should consider outsourcing that function. And in fact, 2 to 3 hours a week should be devoted to your marketing activities, and that is something you absolutely should outsource as a repeatable task. Your leadership on outsourcing. Now, it's something that we don't normally think about, but being a great delegator is a very key leadership skill. Being able to motivate others to work for you and towards a goal that you have is a very key skill. Sadly, it's not a skill that we learn in school or in law school. You kind of have to learn it on the job and in life. That's why emotional intelligence, I think, has become such a key tool these days in business building and certainly in law. So when you are outsourcing, you are using your delegation skills, and you will be learning to work smarter not harder, by using OPT. Now, what is OPT? Anybody who was around for the 70s and 80s knows about OPP. And so this is just the variation on that. OPT is other people's talent. That's what makes you a smart leader, delegating and using other people's talents. There's a story about, I think it's the Carnegies or the Rockefellers, and basically he was saying he has no idea why it would take any man 10 hours to do his work, when if he's clever and he understands how to do his work through others, he can actually accomplish everything in the day and still have free time to spend with family and other pursuits. And so I think we should take that up seriously, right? Your job as the leader of your law firm, because you are the leader of your law firm, you are your small business leader and visionary, is to use your creative problem solving skills to find ways for other people to do the work that has to get done that can be done without you. The things that don't require your expert touch or expertise or attention that you should be outsourcing. So just taking a moment to stop and thinking about that makes you a better leader. Because my off the cuff guesstimate would be that 90% of business owners don't stop to think about what's the best way to get this work accomplished and do I have to be involved. So just by stopping to ask that question, you put yourself on the next level of business leader and in a better position for success. Now, hopefully, if you read the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, and one of the theories that he talks about in that book is that entrepreneurs often fall into the trap of working in their business as a technician as opposed to being working on their business as a visionary. Outsourcing gives you a chance to stretch those muscles and put those theories into place. You will be acting as the visionary for your business. And I kind of like to think of this as the orchestra conductor, right? You'll be bringing together all the virtuosos who together make a wonderful sound, a full, rich vibrato that makes your business sing. And you're the conductor. Yeah, can you play some of those instruments in the orchestra? Of course you can. You're the conductor. But should you? No. Your job is to lead and direct. And if that's not been your strong suit, outsourcing is an excellent way to begin to practice in small ways, asking for help, articulating what you need clearly, motivating others to do what you need them to do, giving feedback in a positive way that enables someone to act on it, and then closing out by being able to give positive and negative feedback so the person feels empowered to do the task again. Right? That is outsourcing. So outsourcing also impacts your emotional intelligence. It really helps you be a much more emotionally intelligent leader and lawyer, I think, in your business. And that's an important skill for lawyers to have. We really need to be able to understand our own emotions and the emotions of our clients. So if you haven't taken some emotional intelligence training, I'd say do it. If you want to practice that emotional intelligence training that you've taken, outsourcing is a great way to do that. You're going to be able to learn how to express yourself. Very often we forget that people don't have mind reading skills. And when we're clear with ourselves what we want, it might not be easy for us to articulate that to others. And so really, outsourcing gives you a great opportunity to stretch those skills about communicating, to be a better negotiator about projects and what could be done and what's not going to be done and who's going to do it and when. You get to be much more detailed about the specifics. Now, as lawyers, yeah, we're kind of big on the detail thing, but even we fall down in that area sometimes. So outsourcing is a way for you to sharpen those skills. And again, you're going to be the orchestra conductor that brings all the team together. And the great thing about that is, God forbid, something should happen to you, the orchestra can continue without you. Now think about that right now. If something happened to you tomorrow, would your practice be able to survive and thrive without you? Part of your responsibility as a leader of your firm, whether it's just you or you have 5 other attorneys with you, is that you have to provide an opportunity, a way, an exit if you need to leave the practice so the practice can run and continue to make money and to benefit others without you. That's part of your responsibility. And putting together a strong virtual team that can pick up those pieces and run with them when you can't is essential. Your client retention on outsourcing. Who doesn't want to have more clients and keep the clients you have longer? Every attorney wants to do that, and that's part of the challenge. You can actually use outsourcing as a way to increase the amount of time that you keep your current clients and to increase the amount of wallet share that you have with those clients. So, creating a friendly, efficient experience is a relationship building goal. Recently, I had a chance to engage lawyers, and I had a series of lawyers that I was interviewing. And I have to say, if I was giving a test on the onboarding process, i.e., how easy it was to contact a lawyer, understand what their practice did, and what their procedures were to become a client. If I had to give a test, everyone would be getting a D or an F. There was only one person who did a really good job of sort of respecting me, helping me understand the process, because these folks didn't know that I was a lawyer until I told them. And I have to say that my experience was that it was intimidating, it was frustrating, I didn't understand what was going to happen next, and consequently I didn't hire any of those lawyers. So you want to be able to create for your clients an excellent first time user experience, and you can do some of that by using outsourcing. Maybe you're going to use a writer to create an onboarding package for your client that walks them through visually as well as in words the steps they need to take to become your client. Maybe you're going to create an infographic or something like that that gives them that information that they can see on your website. Because I don't know if you know, but most people check the website of a service professional before they actually contact you. And so if you had that kind of onboarding information and an easy to understand visual on your site, how great would that be for attracting clients? And how great would that be for your current clients when they're trying to explain to their friends what it's like working with you? They don't have to sort of drum up the words. They can say, here's the link, and this is what it's like to work with Bob or Mary. Excuse me. And so you can use outsourcing to create that infographic. And you can actually use a professional from Clarity.fm, which is an on-demand expert advice site, to help you sit down and figure out what your client nurturing strategy is. There are providers like Deb Brown who focuses solely on creating aligned client thank you and appreciation programs that align your personal style with your clients. So when they get that gift, it's not some tchotchke they throw in the drawer and they think of you occasionally, but it's a meaningful gift that reconnects them to your law practice and makes them want to refer you. That's the kind of stuff that you're going to outsource, that you don't necessarily want to do yourself. That's not your expertise, that you want to find an expert to do those things for you. A 2% increase in your client retention has the same impact as decreasing costs by 10%. That seems like a no-brainer. Keep clients and decrease your costs. That's the benefit of outsourcing. You can keep your current clients active longer. Oops, I see a typo on the page. You want to be able to keep the clients you have and increase the amount of wallet share, the number of transactions or matters that you handle for them. And that can be a tricky thing sometimes because you're busy and you might not be aware of what's happening in your client's life, where they might have extra needs that you don't know about. And so you can use outsourcing to stay on top of those client activities. Conduct a semi-annual client survey to unearth client needs. This is a great way to put your services in front of your clients' eyes once again to remind them as well as figure out what have they been doing since you last talked to them. Maybe they got married, maybe they got divorced, maybe they started a new business. You never know when your client's going to be having a life event that you could be helpful with, unless you make a plan to survey your clients regularly, and you can have someone do that for you as an outsourced task. Maybe you want to generate a client newsletter or a blog or a reminder system. Now, I know not everybody wants to have a blog, but blogging is a very effective marketing strategy. It's a way to personalize and humanize your law practice in a way like no other. You might not like to write, but okay, that's fine. How about you do a video blog? There are platforms like Periscope, that is a live broadcasting platform that works from your smartphone, that you can broadcast at any time or day or night. And the broadcast can last as long as you want. It's absolutely live. It's recorded, so you can save it to your phone, then save it to your YouTube and share it later. The replay only outlasts for 24 hours, so it's a very spontaneous, quick-moving platform, which is great. Gives you lots of opportunity to share content just about every day and pick up new followers. And so you could be doing a Periscope about the mistakes you see your clients making, new trends in your industry, general tips, just about anything you could think of where you're once again demonstrating your expertise and sharing it with clients in a helpful way. So you don't have to create those blog posts or those tips yourself. You could actually find a virtual assistant who will go through all your past materials, your white papers, and pull out those nuggets of gold for you, format them, and then actually go ahead and syndicate your comments and your content. That means posting it for you on your online platforms like Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram. If you're on all those platforms, and you probably should be. It takes about 7 in-person meetings and 20 online touches to convert a prospect to a client. And here's the thing I don't think most of us think about, but the most important touches happen after the sale. It's after the client says that yes, they want to engage you. Those next 5 touches are when you're really going to make it or break it with that client in terms of how they view you and your practice and their experience with them. What you need to do is make it a super rock star experience. And so maybe you're going to think about ways to memorialize the start of the relationship, or maybe you're going to send them a client a book, or I don't know what it's going to be, but you can find ways to stay in touch with the clients. And you can find talented help on sites like Fiverr and Upwork, and you can find writers on sites like a Copy Blogger who can help you create these fun, informative pieces of content to stay top of mind with your clients. Hey, maybe you're the kind of person who loves birthdays and you want to send your clients a personalized birthday card every year. That's a $10 purchase on Fiverr, right? Every client, you spend $10 to send them a personalized birthday card that references their own custom interests, that makes you look like a rock star, and they love that and tell everybody about it. It's a very little bit of money to spend for an awful lot of marketing buck. Bang and bounce. What's your outsourcing policy? Really, I can encourage you to outsource willy-nilly, but what I'm really encouraging you to do is put together an outsourcing strategy. When are you going to outsource? What kind of chores and projects will you outsource? When do you want a technician versus a thinking partner? And what is your standard? So let's just walk through that a little bit. What kind of projects do you want to outsource? Now, of course, the first idea here is none. These are excuses I hear from entrepreneurs all the time, and let's see if they ring true for you. The first one I hear from people is that I can't outsource because it's just going to take too long to explain to somebody else what it is that I have to do. Just easier to do it myself. The second lie I hear from entrepreneurs all the time, and certainly law practice owners too, is that, if I want this done, I gotta do it myself. Otherwise, it's not going to be done right. And the third lie I hear all the time is, gosh, I would love to be getting some help, but it's just too expensive. I can't afford it right now. Now, all those things are fibs. They're just excuses that you tell yourself. As a mediator, when I hear those excuses, here's what I actually hear. When I hear the first excuse, it just takes too long to explain, what that really means, I think, is that the person doesn't really know how they do their work. They're great at doing it, they just don't know what the process or the system is for doing that work. And so, consequently, they can't share that with anybody else because they're not certain how they do it. For that kind of person, outsourcing is a godsend because it's going to clarify what you do on a day-to-day basis. It's going to help you identify where you're spending too much time and the places where you're spending too little time. A great tool for you if you're somebody who isn't quite got the handle on what you're doing every day is something called rescuetime.com. And what Rescue Time does is it sits on your computer and as a background app. You set some goals every week for the things that you want to accomplish, and the app tracks whether or not you do that. So, for instance, when I was writing my book, I wanted to make sure that I spent 2 hours every day writing. I added that to Rescue Time. Every week I get a report, a visual report card, like a chart, and the written notes on whether or not I accomplished my goals, how I spent my time. Great way to stay on top of things and figure it out. So, if your excuse has been it takes too long to explain, then you really need some clarity in your business, and outsourcing is going to help you get that clarity. And using a tool like Rescue Time is going to make it easy for you to do that. If you've ever said, it's just so much better when I do it myself because I'm going to do it right, and you never know what the other person's going to do, well, guess what? It's probably true that you have a way of doing whatever it is in your practice, but it's probably not the best way, and absolutely, certainly, it's not the only way to do it. Keeping a closed fist around the ideas that get in and out of your business means that, sure, none of your ideas get out, but no good ideas get into your business either, and that's a slow, suffocating death if no new ideas get into your practice. So, you really do want to outsource and invite other brilliant minds to give you a perspective on your practice. I've had an experience where, I reached out to a writer to write some copy for one of my websites, and I was pretty set on the positioning and the perspective that I wanted to take. And through the conversation with her, she sort of interviewed me about the business and what I was trying to express. I began to see through her questions a totally different perspective that hadn't ever dawned on me, and it was benefits that didn't occur to me. But through her questions, I began to see, there's another way to look at this, right? So that's really the benefit of having those fresh ideas come into your business. You're smart, you're brilliant, absolutely, but you can't know everything. And surveying clients and those who work in your company about what they think about your services, how well they work, what they'd like to see instead, is really the key to success. And all that surveying takes time, and it doesn't have to be your time. That's the things that you should outsource. The last sort of lie that keeps law practices stuck, that we tell ourselves, is kind of the most bogus one of all, which is it's too expensive. My perspective is it's too expensive for you not to outsource. If your hourly rate is $150 or $250, there's no way that you can justify spending an hour, I don't know, on Canva making a Fiverr cover because you have to be on Fiverr, and your business page looks terrible, but you decide to do it yourself. No way that you should be spending your time doing that. That's a very expensive project. It's a $500 Facebook cover if you spend 2 hours of your time and your hourly rate is $250. Right? So you can't afford not to. And we talked about the fact that you can do a lot of new market investigation and experimentation through outsourcing. And so the little bit of money that you might invest in some market research to look at a new market could be just the tip of the iceberg to finding a market that really is going to be robust and very lucrative for you. But you won't know that if you don't take the time to find out. And you actually don't have the time to do that yourself, and that's why you need to outsource. So, really, the truth of the matter is, outsourcing, it brings clarity to your business, it brings new ideas and new growth, and you can't afford not to do it. It's just too expensive for you to do some of the small grunt work yourself. So, what are we talking about in terms of those tasks? We have another slide coming up that shows you exactly the tasks. So, let's just talk about when you want a technician versus a thinking partner. And that goes back to referencing the E-Myth book. Most of the time, we're the technicians in our practice because we're also the dishwasher and the cook and the secretary and the everything else. We're wearing 37 million hats. So we have to do everything. But there comes a time when you actually, that's diminishing returns. You don't get the same benefit from doing everything yourself and it's not as useful as when you were a startup. That's when it's time to sort of step up and look for thinking partners who can help you strategize about how to better leverage your time, how to reach out to more people, how to build those relationships that you need, and how to get things done when it's not your expertise. So, a technician is someone when you just need the hands. I just need an image. I just need the press release written. I just need you to post this on my Hootsuite account. And for those who don't know, Hootsuite is a social media syndication platform that lets you pre-publish posts and it distributes them for you. So if you just need someone to do that, you don't really need any brain power, a technician is going to be fine for you. But if you're trying a new task and you think I'm going to need some expertise, then consider a thinking partner. And that's what I'm thinking about using Upwork. So if I want a technician, I'm often thinking Fiverr because that's fast, low risk, quick to get it done. If I want a thinking partner, I'm often thinking Upwork, which used to be Elance. And let me give you just a small example. The first time I did a transcript, I had no idea how to buy one. I was doing a podcast series called the Jeffrey Podcast Expert Series, and I'd done 19 fabulous interviews, and I realized it would be very helpful for folks if they could actually just have the transcript in addition to the audio. Most people like to have both. I know that I do. But I had no idea how to make a transcript, and I bought a transcription program thinking I could do it myself, and realized, hey, this is a very skilled job. I need to find somebody who knows what they're doing. I jumped onto Elance, and it was my first time. And thankfully for me, I met a virtual assistant who was just starting her Elance career, and she sort of took me under her wing. And she gave me information that I needed to make a great buying decision. Absent meeting her, I'm sure that I would have spent a much more money on the transcription than I needed to because I really didn't understand the levels. So for instance, she helped me understand that there are 3 different levels of transcription. That goes from verbatim, which is, just really transcribing whatever is there, including the ums, the the silences, to a more nuanced approach where the person is actually cleaning up all that garbage noise and maybe even doing a slight amount of editing. Of course, one of those costs more than the other. And being new to transcription, I had no clue about that. So if I'd run into a provider, and I don't like to call freelancers because that sounds way too close to freeloaders. I like to call them providers because they're helping for me to provide for my family by providing their expertise. So, I like to work with providers who can really teach me something. And that's what the transcriptionist did. If I have a new project and I'm not certain how to do it, I'm going to look for somebody who has more expertise than me. Superior knowledge is what I like to call it. And that's how I start out with my outsourcing projects. And the first question I ask is, who has superior knowledge on this? Is it me or is it someone else? And more often than not, the answer is going to be somebody else, right? And so we'll talk a little bit more about technician and thinking partner in a minute. What's your standard? you really need to have a standard before you start outsourcing. And it seems obvious, but I want to state it. If you don't know what you're looking for, you can get very confused while you're looking and suffer some decision fatigue. And that's when you start making bad decisions about what providers to select. So, just right off the bat, if this is your first couple of times outsourcing, I think you need a very high standard. So, on platforms like Fiverr and Upwork, which was Elance, you're going to be looking for the highest rated and the highest recommended providers. You got to be 5 stars. They need to have more than 50 reviews. Really, the top of the top. And the reason for that is those folks have already been vetted by somebody else. Right? Somebody already has said, yeah, this person does a great job. You're going to love them. Here's the work I did with it, and here's how it turned out. You want to borrow some of that confidence when you're just starting out outsourcing. So I always recommend to new clients that when you're searching on your own, you're just looking at top rated sellers or the highest rated sellers. When you have a little bit more experience on the platforms, then you can really get to the fun stuff, because when you're able, particularly on Elance, which is now Upwork, when you're a lot more comfortable with that platform and their rating system and the indicator numbers, you can start to juggle that around to get good work at an even lower price point than you normally would. So for instance, on Elance, they rate providers by levels. And usually if I'm working with clients, I'm expecting or encouraging them to hire somebody who's at like a 12, 13, 14, and really the top highest level of their skill set. But if you're a little bit more experienced and you know how to manage a job, you've already done it a few times before, you're very clear on communicating what it is that you need and what it is that you expect and what you don't want, then sometimes you can actually get a little bit lower level, like maybe an 8. And that person's going to do a great job. The only difference is they haven't had enough experience or the same amount of experience on the platform. So you get to pay a little less money and still get a very good quality of work. But that's only something you're going to do after you've had like a good amount of experience on the platform. So it's up to you to sort of set what your standard is and what you're willing to do. One of the things I'm not willing to do until very recently was I wasn't willing to have a provider work on the back end of my website. I didn't want folks doing any programming work back there. Because I thought, okay, that's not my expertise, and if something goes wrong, I won't be able to fix things. And so I made that decision. This year, though, I decided to change and go ahead and, get some back-end work done. And that's primarily because I found a provider who really impressed me, and he had a great skill set and really a wonderful working manner. So I felt comfortable with him. So you have to decide what your standard is going to be. Here's what we were just talking about in terms of how to choose. The technician on one side, the thinking partner on the other. When you're looking for a technician, the work is repeatable, it's time consuming, it's low risk work, it's a fast turnaround, and it's sort of skill based. So maybe you need someone to quickly edit 1,000 words for you and to make sure that article sounds great when it goes out through guest posting. That's something that you could either do on Fiverr, or you might decide, hey, I want to have a regular editor that looks at all my work. That's something that you might do on Elance or Upwork, because that's going to be an ongoing project. And Upwork has a really good system for managing ongoing work, while Fiverr does not. And so those kinds of things help drive your choice over one platform over the other. Typically, if you need some expertise, you need some brain power, you need some problem solving, you're looking for a thinking partner, so you're looking for Upwork or maybe Clarity.fm, or maybe you're looking for writing, so you're looking for something on the Copy Blogger marketplace, those kinds of places. If you're looking for just technical hands-on work, certainly is Fiverr good, and there are all kinds of Fiverr alternatives available. If you Google Fiverr alternative, you'll begin to see them pop up. I've not worked with many of those sites because I think Fiverr is a lot more established And they're on their way to being a fairly big company. They got $50 million in venture funding over the last few years. So I think they're a much safer bet than some of the other platforms. But here's how you choose where you're going to be putting your project. Either a technician or a thinking partner. Technician, Fiverr and lower end sites and Fiverr alternatives. You need a thinking partner. You're looking at Elance or Upwork or Clarity.fm, where you're really going to have a quality experience with an expert who knows more than you do. You're outsourcing yardstick. So how do you know when it's really time to outsource? Certainly we could talk about a whole lot of different things, but I wanted to just pick something that was very visceral. So when you're tired of suffering the pain and consequences of neglect and procrastination, it's time to outsource. When you're tired of missing the win or having to work hours and hours late because you don't have the help you need, coming in early, missing time with your family, when you're suffering that kind of pain, it's really time to start outsourcing. And so that's the yardstick that I use for myself. I eat my own home cooking, and I try to outsource on a regular basis because my time is valuable. It's the one thing that I cannot replace. Right? I can get more money, but I cannot get more time. And I have to better manage the time I have because we all have the same 40 hours. So think about those 40 hours and how you want to spend them. Would you rather spend them slaving away in your practice, or would you like to get some help and spend them in a way that's more desirable? The summary for Module 1. I think we're walking away with many good lessons. Hopefully you have some questions, and this summary has sparked and piqued your curiosity and got you thinking about the kind of projects that you can begin to outsource in your law practice. Outsourcing is good for your practice. It helps it grow. It helps your leadership skills grow and helps you nurture your clients so they are delighted to work with you and want to recommend you to their friends and colleagues. You gain clarity about your practice and how it runs and where you spend your time, which might not be something you know, but once you begin to outsource, you clearly you'll be able to see where you need the help and where you don't. You can free up that time to spend on relationship building. These days, the personal one-on-one touch is oh so critical. It's more important than it's ever been before because we spend so much time online. That when you can reach out with someone, and even if you're doing it through email, but you have a consistent presence in their life, they see you in and day out, reaching out and connecting with them. That's when you're really building a relationship that's going to be lasting and lucrative. You get to experiment and investigate in new practice areas or even reinvent yourself entirely through outsourcing. You can gather up all that data so you can make the best decision about where you should spend your talents. And you can gain more insights about your clients, and that's really pretty important because the more aligned you are with what they need and what they want, the more they're going to work with you, and it's going to be a happy day, right? A full practice is a happy practice. So that's a summary for the benefits of outsourcing in Module 1. Please make sure you see Worksheet 1 so we can capture your thoughts, your feelings, and your projects regarding the benefits of outsourcing. This is Dina Eisenberg saying, stop doing everything yourself. See you in Module 2.